This is a short segment. Get into this new initiative you're launching at the Oath Keepers website. Then we're going to get into what you were telling me during the break about this really Ron Paul type constitutional rebellion at the state level through the legislatures. People are really starting to get it, so exciting things happening. But break down your new initiative.
Well, the whole focus here is to do for the veterans what we did for the current serving, to get them to understand their personal obligation to rebuild the republic. Under their oath, they can't just vote, they can't just sit on the couch and say, I hope no one violates my rights. They got to get out there and resurrect. And frankly, it's our own fault we're in the position we're in now. I told one veterans gathering, I said, look, you should get down on your knees and beg forgiveness for your neglect and negligence. And so we want to wake them up, get them off the bar stool, so they're not just sitting around drinking beers. We want to reactivate them, make them realize they still have a mission. Under their oath, they must rebuild the republic. So we're going to be focusing on the alternate market movement, focusing on revitalizing the public militia at the county level. I'm talking about a real public institution. Like you have a volunteer fire department that's established by the county, but staffed by volunteers. Same thing here. And also at the state level as well. And forming sheriff's posses. And I want to go to every VFW hall and American Legion hall and Marine Corps League hall and say, look, you guys, get your own grain reserves. Used to be in this country, we had 3 years of grain reserves for the people during the Cold War. Now we have enough to give all of us 1/2 of a loaf of bread. That's it. And so we have to build up our own grain reserves. All these veterans organizations, they should be inside their own organizations getting food stores.
Globalism has worked hard to make sure we're dependent on them for a long time.
Exactly. So we got to rebuild it. It's kind of like a pyramid like this. The power is supposed to be at the very bottom. The strength and power is supposed to be at the bottom of the republic, and only at the top is very little bit of power. They've turned it on its head. They have a very weak states now, and weak people, and a powerful top-down system over the top of us. We got to reverse that, flip it back over again.
Continuing with this initiative, and give folks the website.
Oathkeepers.org, and we're going to be calling this Operation Reactivate. So that's going to be the name of it. And actually, Rob Dew, your producer, that was his idea. So I want to thank Rob for that.
Wow.
It's great. So we're reactivating them in their oath, realizing that, look, my service is not done. I have to get off the bar stool, get off the couch, and get back out there and do it. And if we can wake the veterans up, they will lead the rest of the people in this country to do what's right.
Well, I'll tell you, the really big jump we've got on the controllers is that Ron Paul 35 years ago, myself 16, 17 years ago, countless other people, G. Edward Griffin, the list goes on, knew history, knew who the globalists were, read their own reports that were public, understood what was happening, warned people, got laughed at for a long time. Now we're not getting laughed at to the point of this stuff's so mainstream. Glenn Beck's, there's a world government. They're coming for everything. He's telling the truth on more and more because we're dragging Fox News over to at least have to act like true patriots to even stay relevant. And they have more viewers than all the other cable stations combined because they'll at least carry on a little bit of our political coloration.
Well, as Max kind of said earlier, it's out in the open now. Special drawing rights are going to be the new basis for the new world currency. They're telling us what they're going to do. It's not conspiracy theory anymore.
But we got the jump on them by warning people.
Oh, absolutely. So now it's just been proven correct. And as I was talking about earlier, we've seen this wave. We talked before about a wave after effect of the Ron Paul campaign. We're starting to see that now in the houses and senates of the states. We just had a big meeting in Montana. Oath Keepers sponsored a meeting of all the different liberty groups came together. 912ers, Tea Party people, Campaign for Liberty, you name it. And we had 20 state legislators there. Hardcore Ron Paul Republican.
And a total takeover of one state by the people will then be used as a model for the rest.
That's right.
One domino falls. Victory is ours.
Amen to that. Exactly. So, if one state can do it and show how it's done, you get one state to reinstitute a state bank and do sound money, like Virginia's starting to do and Montana's.
And openly confront the globalists verbally.
Exactly, right.
Call them out.
So if they can do that, and once we start doing that, and people realize that, hey, the sky's not going to fall when I stand up and just act like a citizen again, a sovereign citizen.
The sky's going to fall if we don't.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to crumble. We should accept the fact that the dollar is going to die. It's going to collapse. The question is, are we going to sit there and let it collapse on top of us, or are we going to rebuild what we're supposed to have so that when it collapses, we can assert our own future rather than having their model imposed on us?
And that idea is wholesome. It's the spirit of 1776. If we put our idea out against global bondage, we're going to win.
That's right. So they don't want us to do anything. That's why I tell you, just go vote, and otherwise leave it to us. So you want to do what they don't want you to do. Southern Poverty Law Center and the rest of the propaganda machine does not want you to start a sheriff's posse or to revitalize the militia of your county. So you should go do that. Whatever they don't want you to do, that's what you should be doing.
Well, that's what I've always said. Anything the globalists are for, I'm against. And then if you analyze each point intellectually, whatever they want is not in our interest.
That's right. It's the bizarre republic. They're trying to impose the bizarre republic on us, destroy our national sovereignty, destroy our state sovereignty, and now we have Obama continuing the SPP that Bush started and trying to merge.
You know, that's been out for a few days, and I should have covered it. We knew it was already going on by stealth. We'll cover that when we come back. Also, the other incredible information you're getting from all your sources all around the country and the world. Stewart Rhodes is our guest in studio. I'm Alex Jones. Our websites are Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. You are the resistance. We were just talking about something really important during the break. Stewart was saying, what's your real view on Egypt? And I said, well, it's like a tree that's leaning over somebody's house, and they need to cut it, so they choose the time before the next big storm comes, and they go ahead and chop it down in a controlled burn, basically. But we know, Panetta says Mubarak will step down, then the announcement is he'll step down. The London Telegraph and others got the documents 3 weeks ago that they sent in El-Baradi and others and sources in the military. Their military obviously trained by the U.S. and said, get ready, we're doing this, because Mubarak is a globalist, but he didn't want to have World War III with Iran. And so now they're pulling this destabilization, but Glenn Beck's saying it's socialist Muslims doing it, and that it's all George Soros, and that's one arm. But no, it's the globalists that run our country that are triggering this order out of chaos destabilization. And I was saying that's why we need to point out we're restorationists. We want to follow the law, Bill of Rights, Constitution. The revolution is globalism and NAFTA and GATT and the North American Union through SPP and the new continental security perimeter that they've now officially put into place. We're the ones that want to stop the chaos, and the problem is the globalists know they're going to push us into chaos. They're going to try to steer it maybe for a right-wing coup. You don't know. But Stewart said, absolutely. Have you heard of Operation Clean Sweep? Tell folks about that.
Well, unfortunately, some people, they could be well-intended patriots, are calling for essentially a military coup. And that's as dangerous as any usurping president trying to be El Presidente for life. A military coup is going from the frying pan into the fire. You still wind up with the destruction of the Constitution, a destruction of the Republic. And the problem that they're doing is they're looking at Washington, D.C., and they're ignoring the states. The answer is in the states. The answer is that we, the people, take care of things.
Peacefully, the states stand up and have the moral courage and start exposing them. Then the globalists will literally evaporate.
Well, if you give the people a false choice between submit to tyranny or turn to the generals to come in and do a military coup, that's been the bane of republics throughout history since ancient Rome. They've gone back and forth.
Look at third world countries. It's happening every month.
Absolutely. And so the founder's genius is that if we just simply follow the oath and the military stands down and then the people in the states stand up and take care of it, it's solved without having to resort to those two extremes.
Yeah, we want to go back to the Constitution, not to something new and even worse.
Well, or old and even worse. You know, Caesar crossing the Rubicon. This is the same kind of thing. You look to the generals to save you, and now you have a general in sunglasses doing his MacArthur imitation, running your life instead of a usurping president. Is it any better? No, it's the same thing.
Generally, it's worse.
Generally, it is. You want it with a Pinochet or a Franco, some bloody dictator. So we have to get back to the Constitution. A lot of these folks, I get messages all the time saying, well, you say you're not going to do something. What are you going to do? When's the military going to march on Washington, D.C.? And I say, it's not their job. It's your job.
That's right. Well, I love these people that, you know, these keyboard commandos that send me emails and say, you're not calling for violence. You're a wimp. A, we found out most of the time those are provocateur feds. But B, look in the mirror. I've done as much as I can. Look at what we've been able to do. What about you? Don't always look for somebody else who's already standing up to do it for you. You want the solution. Look in the mirror. And look, here's a beta test example. I've been beating the drum for several years. Go to your city council, point out, read what's in sodium fluoride, the other ingredients, the bone cancer evidence, the admissions. Now they're starting to take it out all over the place. Suddenly it's collapsing. The government came out a month ago and said, okay, we do want to take it out of the water. We do want to stop using it as a pesticide. You have record numbers of folks not taking the flu vaccine because we had a revolution of just reading the insert. It's all about you making daily choices. There's not going to be some Arnold Schwarzenegger on a white horse riding in and you know, sending Obama to the gulag and everything's fixed. Obama's a front man. This is a process of rediscovering the spirit of 1776, the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence. That is our rightful property, and it's the rightful document that basically states what's already inherently there.
Exactly. And here's the other point I make to people all the time. I say, look, what institution is supposed to take care of domestic security? Not the standing army, it's the militia. Repel invasions, suppress insurrections, and execute the laws of the Union. So if anyone's going to go and correct things, it's going to be the people themselves as the militia.
Well, Kennesaw, Georgia had one of the highest crime rates in Georgia, a bedroom community of Atlanta, until in '89 they said everyone must own guns by law, just like Switzerland has, and it has the lowest crime rate in the country within 1 year. I mean, it's simple. You don't have a lot of home invasions in Texas because they don't break in like they do in New York here while you're there because they know they'll get killed. It's real simple. Guns are the answer.
Well, also, another way to look at this is this way. People always say, well, the militia is there as a final check on a tyrannical government. They're missing an important point. The militia is first supposed to be to fill that vacuum. So you're not relying on standing army troops and professional police. You're relying on you and your neighbors. Then that you no longer have a situation where you need outside help. You're independent, and that prevents them from having to pretend.
That's right.
In the first place.
We've had cities of hundreds of thousands of people up before 1900, even millions, where the only police were there to respond to court orders to go out, you know, once people have been found to commit crime and pick them up and take them into the court, the constables, the sheriff's deputies and people. And now we've got cops. I saw an article today where a guy's little Jack Russell Terrier got out, killed a raccoon in the backyard in a fight. Raccoons are mean, and now they're charging him with animal cruelty. Any way to put charges on law-abiding citizens, that's another telltale sign of tyranny, is when they criminalize everything.
And also nationalize the police. So those two twin things are happening. Like you said, you've got a massive pile of laws, and they don't tell the jury about the real power to judge even in the face of the law and acquit. I just got done with a hearing yesterday in front of the Montana House about a jury nullification bill, or a fully formed jury bill in Montana. Very important part of our core responsibilities as citizens. The last check on abuse is really the jury. So,
they judge the law as well as the facts. They can do whatever they want. They're the judges.
That's historic reality and fact. But the problem is they're not even telling them about this. And yesterday it was really...
That's another veto on law. It doesn't even matter if it's the law. If the jury doesn't like it and thinks it's wrong what's being done or it's not being applied right, nope.
That's right. And there's a famous case in the colonial era of a publisher named Zangler who was prosecuted for criticizing the governor of New York. And he admitted he had written an article critical of the governor. And under libel laws back then, even though it was truthful, it was still considered libel. And but the jury refused to convict him, even in the face of the obvious, he was guilty. They still refused to convict him. And that's the start of our First Amendment right to free press and free speech. The protections in the First Amendment got their start in a jury nullification case. So there's one more example of a core institution we've allowed to wither away, and the government has co-opted it.
They've done that with grand juries as well. Let's get into what the globalists are doing. They're simply conquering us by just announcing their powers. And Judicial Watch 4 years ago sued and got the North American Union documents that hadn't been made public. And there were the thousands of pages of minutes. We cover it in my film Endgame, show screenshots of it. And the first thing at the SPP meeting is they said, A, we got to keep this secret from the public. We got to set up the continental security perimeter. It can't even be the feds that respond, much less the locals. Now, from Mexico to Alaska, it's going to be this international body, and we're going to fund this international body, this American Union, through highway taxes, through the Trans-Texas NAFTA superhighways. And here's WorldNet Daily. Obama's signature creates continental perimeter, and it goes on, move described as key step in advance of North American Union. I remember, and it's in my film Endgame, Bush signing an agreement with Merkel and the EU and Barroso on the Rose Garden saying, we're now merging the North American Union with the EU in 2007, and no one even paid attention when it was on TV. This is just like they celebrated in 2007 the 50th anniversary of the EU, but they told people in Europe it started in 2000. They had signed the Treaty of Rome in 57. It was already in place then.
And they called you a conspiracy theorist for pointing this out, and now it's becoming much more out in the open. And what happened to the EU, and how that came about, is exactly what's happening to us right now. They start with a free trade area.
Integration by stealth.
Right, absolutely. Incrementalism, too. Free trade, and then it goes to a common currency, and then it goes to a common government. And then you lose your sovereignty. So now the overturning laws have been around in England for hundreds of years, are now found to be, illegal and unconstitutional.
They're getting rid of their common law, and they're saying we're going to have to get rid of some of our laws and adopt Canadian and Mexican law.
Oh, is that what they're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. So, so this is, we have to...
Well, that's what the 4 Supreme Court justices have said. We've got to follow international law now, not our own.
Right. They're trying to graft onto our system international law.